Okay, let's give this a go. Because I tried this a couple of nights ago and it didn't work quite so well. So, um, what I'm going to do is now that the February OCS is wrapped up, is I'm going to have a go of whipping through the 12 games that I played and just identifying what I'm looking for in terms of getting better because I'm bad and I want to get better. I want to improve, but I want to improve in a systematic kind of way. I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that the way to get better is to smash a million reps of one deck and everything will click for the whole game by doing that. So I try to take as best I can. I'm no echo-based trooper, but I try to take a relatively data-driven approach to improving in the game, if nothing else. And what I wanted to really quickly share was I have a spreadsheet that tracks every game that I've played more or less since I came back in 2019. I took a break off last year to work on a PhD thesis. And you can see that reflected in the numbers. But basically, what I track is all of the games that I've played. So the winning percentage year on year, light, dark, OCS, casual, each of the decks that I've played. So I've got the green ones that I'm playing at the moment highlighted. I've got a deck ladder, say that 5 times fast, a deck ladder with how I feel comfortable about different decks. Other replays, games that I've not played, but games that I've wanted to flag, tracking OCS specifically and knowing who's who, because I don't know who. Deck matchups, which is obviously not terribly useful because decks change. This is the various iterations of TRM is the second most played against deck that I've played, and I've not played against it in a year and a half probably. Also who I've played against. So unsurprisingly, I play against Justin a lot because we're in the same time zone and we get along. Hi, Justin. But there's some pretty bad ones there. Timo is the one that always stands out to me. 2-24 against Timo is terrible. But here's every game I've ever played. And at first I started tracking them just the games. So the wins and the losses and the matchups and the who, and got to see some there's some pretty rough. You talk about having some bad months. There's some pretty rough runs here of just playing. Like I think this one was it this run here? No, there's definitely a run in the OCS where I played I think it was this run here. It's just insane. Justin Angelo, that guy, Joe, Steve, like just what are you gonna do, right? So I've got and at a certain point, I can't remember when it was. I can't remember when it was. I can tell you when it was because it'll turn up around here. So there you go, 2022. In 2022, I started attaching replays. So I have every replay that I can of every game. Obviously, I can't if the game times out or it's in person or whatever, right? So I can go back and look at the replays as well and get a bit of an idea of maybe where things, if somebody says to me, are you playing against somebody or something like that, I can get a bit of a feel for what they're likely to play. So good for matchup and stuff for match play and stuff like that. But just good to go back and how does this deck work again? And learning all that stuff. So this is my OCS month. I went 1-11, which from a results perspective is not good, but I'm trying really hard. One of my big things this year is to not focus on the results that I get in the OCS. OCS results are dependent on who you can have a good month or a bad month depending on who you match up against player quality wise. You might play some players of my caliber and have a great month, or you might play Joe 6 times. Obviously you won't, you know what I mean. But also depends on deck matchups as well. So you might have a good month, you might play really well in all 12 of your games, but some of the decks, the matchups just don't work out for you. So try to step away from measuring success by wins and losses. And obviously that's the ultimate, that's the ultimate measure, right? I'm not so naive as to think that I can, in my head, be morally 6-6. I'm 1-11. I'm objectively bad at the game. And that's okay for now. But it's more about, did I play well? So understanding, and the things that I'm going to talk about, hopefully relatively briefly on this video are, did I get the things that I'm going back to fundamentals, foundations of the game that I'm not good at, trying to highlight patterns in the things that I'm doing and see those patterns across the 12 games. Did I get the first few turns right? So I'm playing AOBS and Anakin family primarily, but also dipping into QMC and CCT a bit. So we'll have a look at, did I play the first few turns right? Did I get my location pullers? Did that really matter? Did that throw me off? Was that where the game was lost? Did I lose the game in the first 2 or 3 turns? One thing that I have a history of being particularly bad at is rage quitting. So do I quit any games before I should have? Do I quit any games when I've got 30 life force remaining? Things like that. And can I identify any real game-ending mistakes? And that's where there's a limit to, if you're watching this because you want to learn, I'd probably switch the video off now, because my analysis is not going to be as good as others. It was interesting. There was a Slack chat relatively recently, and I'm dating this. It's March 2024 at the moment, but there was a Slack chat in the Star Wars CCG Slack talking about your ability, the different types of commentators that there are, and different people, some people provide play-by-play and some people provide analysis. I can't provide analysis because I don't have a good enough grounding in the game and an understanding of the game to be able to identify this is where I lost the game. Okay. So what you might find is that as you're watching it, you will identify, oh, this is where he lost the game. So if you're maybe looking to learn some things about analysis, then maybe all reps, all replays are useful for that. But for me personally, I'm trying to identify. I'll try to identify some of these live with you now, but I probably won't do as good a job as basically any other people could. If I could, then I'd be better at the game, wouldn't I? So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to share the first game. So this first game, just jumping around a little bit, this is my game of Hitco against Yodad. So this was my first OCS game. I'm also going to play through these fairly quickly, just for the interests of time. You all know how these things work, and there's not a lot of value in doing otherwise. So Hitco versus Hitco, CCT versus Hitco. The way that I'm approaching this matchup, and there's something in there as well about sort of the overall. Do you understand how a deck works? Do you understand the overall strategy that you're trying to employ? Do I follow through on the strategy that I think I should have employed? So CCT versus Hitco. My main worry is that they rush the audience chamber. So I'm going to move Thet to the audience chamber, and then I'm going to try and back him up with as much as I possibly can. If I can get to space and drain for free there and hold space, and ideally what I'll do is I'll force him to go to the carbonite chamber, and that will allow me to go wide. So we'll see how we go. Am I able to ideally hold the audience chamber and then go wide? So I activate one, and I activate one so that I can then take He's All Yours Bounty Hunter into hand. And my very first action of the OCS for the year is that I miss, which is unfortunate. That means that because I'm only activating, now I'm activating 7. So was I activating 7? No, I activated 6 for the turn. So I could have paid the 4 and spent 2 for Fett to go across, but because I paid the 1 and lost it, I now can't move Fett turn 1. So I'm now behind a turn momentum-wise, which is not great. I want to get the activation out, so I basically just draw a couple. Don't know why I drew to 9 specifically and left so much there, but what are you going to do? There's the AC. So here's everything that I wanted to do turn 1. I've got He's No Good to Me Dead in hand to cancel a fight if he decides to come down. Only works. So he does, and I do. So now what I really need to do is reinforce. So let's see if I'm able to reinforce. We'll play this quickly. Down comes Scum. Scum gets an alien. Mighty Jabba. Arika. Greedo. I go to space. I go to space because I've got the force and I don't need to do anything else. What I probably should have done is brought up a bigger hand. Down comes Luke, of course. So he's doing exactly what I'm worried about doing, which is he's rushing the chamber. He adds a couple of destinies. I YOLO a hidden weapons and draw a 1. I'm just commentating at this point. There's no analysis. There's not a lot of analysis to do, really. He's going to rush the audience chamber. He's going to knock me out of the audience chamber. He's going to draw 7, 5, 6, and 4. So here's 22, I think is enough to clear me. And then you're in trouble from there, aren't you? Really? He's able to free the prize. He's able to cancel scum. You know, it's kind of academic from there. Do I rage quit this game? You know, the first couple of turns don't go terribly well. Do I rage quit this game? From here, probably not. What are we at? 32. He's at 45 to my 32, 39. So I'm only back by 6. So just to let you know what I do from there, I basically decide to try and go a bit wide, probably not wide enough. You know, 2 characters against Hitko is never going to be enough. He's just going to hit and run. He's going to drain for 3. Again, what I probably should have done here is just waited, and come down with a bigger group and forced him. You know, the thing with Hitko is it plays a finite amount of characters, doesn't it? So it didn't go well. But you know, these things happen. So game 2, which, apologies, I'm just going to load up now. It's not the way that I wanted to do that. Share screen. Okay. So this is my AOBs against Hitko again. So I go away from CCT and go to Hitko. Go to AOBs. Once again, what I think is going to happen here, or what usually happens here, is they're going to come and take over one of my Coruscant sites. I'm fine with that. What I want to do, what I'm hoping to see from Hitko, is I want to see a Jedi Council chamber, or places that I don't know. Actually, I don't think he can play JCC. Yeah, cool. That answered that question. What I'm wanting to do is get set up in space safely, get set up at a site safely, and then start harassing his Twixters, basically. Stay alive, ping, drain for free, keep him out of space, win the game. Let's see what I do. And I can use things like U3PO. So first turn, let's see if I get all my pulls here. I've got the first light, so I don't need to use, I'll never ask for anything twice to get it. I go and get the square. Vigo. Now, did I get the right side? Yep, Pulse. There we go. So doing AOBS things. Turn 1, flip. Now off we go. Let's see what we do. Go and get the bounty. Wipe. So I've got the barrier and I've got the bounty and I've got the sense. Fairly safe there. Casey gets activation out, draws. Off we go. So I'm okay here, and I don't do anything. I just activate and draw a bunch. I'm probably looking for more space to feel comfortable in space. I don't know if that was necessary. You know, probably want to go faster. I know I'm worried about getting beat down. Casey doesn't do anything again. Ping for 1 again. Now I go to space with basically as much as I can. The Palpatine goes there for the ability to sense things, basically. Now, I don't know if I shouldn't have barriered Yoda. I probably should have. Considering that, I mean, I'm not that worried about losing Zizor. I'm quite lucky that I only lose Vigo there. But I'm now able to drain for 1, which is okay. Down comes Mara. Mara flips him back. Get the other side out, which is good. U3PO is going to block some drains. So things are going okay so far. I'm okay with this. Yoda moves across. Now, I don't follow with U3PO for reasons that I still don't know why I didn't do that. And that's important. It's important that I didn't do that because that was dumb. I've now got shadows pinging set up, which is good. I go white. Again, this is fine. It's just the not moving the U3PO across and stopping him from doing damage is just objectively dumb. Particularly given that I've got the sense. Now, this is where the game does turn. I should have buried the profundity. I should always bury the ship, but I was worried obviously about a second ship following, but I've got the Furry Fury, so I shouldn't have been worried about anything following that. But given that the game is going to be won or lost by whether I can hold space or not, it's kind of important. So he loses one, I lose a big ship. Again, don't know if that was the right move. Don't have the force to move U3PO this time. Draining for one, pinging for one, pinging for one. Sean, pinging for one. It's this kind of stuff that gets you, right? I just reinforce in space. I leave my guys there. He gifts for another. So I'm going to try and kill Luke. And hit. I think I knew the 6 was there at this point. So this all goes. Not bad destiny, as you'd expect from Hiko. Yeah, this is where I know that I have the 2 6s on top and start playing to that. But he's still going to clear me off that site. Again, not leaving a force there to be able to move the U3PO off to stop him from doing any damage, again, becomes a problem. But I'm not out of it at all. You know, we're relatively even. I bounty for somebody to put on the ship to draw 5 destiny. Now, this is where at that stage I thought I had the 2 6s on the top. So my pathway to winning was hopefully going to be to knock him out of space, which wasn't bad. But I ended up drawing basically anything other than the 2 6s. And he does a good job of drawing high destinies to be able to clear a lot of my stuff. So yeah, I just needed to if I knock the profundity out there, then maybe things are a little bit different. And I'm not resisting anymore. Transfer 2. Down comes Cassian and Lando. He's going to cancel my destiny. And once he knocks me out of space, it's pretty much done. I think I come back with a Zim over the top to try and yeah, no. So that's kind of how that game went. Okay, which I would say, relatively speaking, compared to other games that I play, is not it's not the worst game of the month I played at all. But since we're continuing through the AOBS games, hopefully this is all. Stop the share and share again, just to not make the same mistake twice. Okay, so this is AOBS against Gogolins WAP. So I saw WAP a couple of times this month. It was nice to see Echo Base Troopers data going out again to see whether it was a common thing or not. There's an early miss here with, I want to say the square. It's either the square or I make a catastrophic mistake with Vigo. So yeah, this is the square. So square's fine. Another person playing Goldenrod. Okay, so I verify and I get Vigo, and getting Vigo is fine. Anybody who doesn't play AOBS, Vigo is once per game. And I know that my Zizor's Palace is not in my reserve deck because I've checked my reserve deck twice now. So what I should have done at this point is just drawn and let it go. But what I do is I make a terrible mistake, which is that I reach for a site and I now can't get any more sites out. So now I have 2 sites buried in my reserve deck. I'm generating less force than I want to. Chris is doing WAP things. And all I can really do is draw and go. The way that I think that I was going to try and win this game was, once again, the same way AOBS wins most of its games: go to space, drain for free, and then start harassing their Twixers. This is not really a build of WAP that I think would have allowed for that. I was also probably more paranoid about WAP space than I needed to be. This is the first time I played WAP in a while. So I learned a lot out of this game for the next time I play WAP, which will be the next game that I'll stream. I suspect. I drew a 6 for Sense for trying to keep U3PO alive, which is unfortunate. These things happen. It was worth a go, and WAP's gonna stop me from doing damage. So it's kind of, in terms of that, learning things from the month, that early mistake of not being able to pull sights out begets a little bit. It's not, it's not catastrophic. It's not necessarily game ending, but it's not good because it slows me down. What I did do here, I think I needed to go faster, is the thing that I take away, is in terms of trying to win this game. Because at this point, the game wasn't over at this point, but I just needed to put more early pressure on, and maybe play Imperial Decree V as well. So he's gonna kill Seesaw. I'm still not in space, and it's turn 5. I'm still not in space. I think at this point I'm a bit tilted, or I'm sort of looking at the board state, looking at my pathway to victory, and thinking, there's no draining on Naboo. There's a drain of 1 in the sewer, and I don't have my extra battleground on Coruscant to be able to go wider to be able to switch on. I don't even need, all I need to do is go to space to switch on Shadows. In fact, Shadows is switched on now to start pinging. But yeah, it's one of those ones where it wasn't necessarily one big thing that went wrong. It was a whole bunch of little things. So yeah, I try to fight. That's just silly. This is one that I'd say I didn't concede early, but there's the 0. I wouldn't say necessarily that I conceded early. I did make a big mistake early on. And it's now turn 6 and I'm not in space. I needed to be in space turn 3. And I think I open-handed the space as well. So again, that putting that pressure on WAP, where they're going to take a couple of turns to set up as well as you, was a real miss on my part. So that's where that kind of game goes awry. And then you hope that you've learned a few lessons, because then in one of the next games that you play, you're going to play WAP again. But this time I'm playing Gibson's WAP. So hopefully, what you're hoping for when you're at the level I am is that making mistakes are a given. You're going to make mistakes. What you're hoping is that you learn from them. And you take a different, if you take a game plan that doesn't work, you take a different game plan the next time you go out. Now, first thing that I did there was I didn't grab the space that I could have grabbed with, I never asked for anything twice, which is something that I definitely should have done. I think I was so focused on making sure that I got my locations pulls this time, that I didn't think about the wider game plan. So that was a mistake, because now I have no space in my hand. Okay, which is one of the ways that I need to try and win the game. So he's going to do WAP things. He's going to do projection things. And this is where I'd say I didn't necessarily really learn anything, because all I'm doing is, again, I'm slow again. And it's because I'm looking for space now, which I had in my opening hand. I could have used that turn to quickly go into space and been draining for free, and then setting down the Emperor and starting the ping and then being able to go wide. So in terms of an order of operations, I didn't get the order of operations right in this game because I didn't get the space out. But now I go aggressively, like relatively aggressively. So at least in terms of learning, this is better than the game against Chris. I'm obviously worried there about getting stomped. I don't know why I put Seesaw up to space. I think just because I could. But I probably would have been better. I mean, I could have used the Ellis for free to move Vigo. I had the Gek. I've got the extra Emperor. I could have left it the way that it was and dared him. I put the extra space out because I'm starting to go wide-ish. But he's got 18 force to play with and 11 cards in hand, so this is probably going to end badly. We'll see. We'll see what he does. And again, sort of in terms of what I'm hoping for as an AOBS player is I'm looking for Twixes. That was an unfortunate draw, I guess. I don't know. AOBS doesn't have the best destiny. And he doesn't clear, which is to be expected. But I'm still in not the worst position because he's paying to drain. And I'm pinging. So I try, I U3PO again. I deploy into get Fisto and then don't battle, which was probably, I think I was a bit worried about the 7 side of WAP is just mean. He's going to reinforce at the AC. He comes down with the Bravo fire in the landing floor, and you can't really legislate for that. I once again, this time I actually do successfully stop somebody from killing U3PO. He moves across, makes my drain basically nothing. He's just mitigating all my damage. So we'll see. Tried to Ellis, and he quite a mercenaries from Lost Pile, which was nice. Probably should have seen that coming. I pull the Ellis back during my deploy phase. Ellis again. So what I was hoping to do with the Ellis was disarm Kenobi and disarm Rex and then fight and try and I wondered whether part of my pathway to winning from there was to knock him out of the audience chamber and force him to come back in with the likes of Padme. But it didn't quite work because he was able to quite a mercenary my first Ellis, which, again, that happens. So there's some shooting, I think. That's right, get rid of Panaka. I think I'm, at this point, I feel like the game is up. He's at 24, I'm at 17. So this is the thing. It's always worth actually thinking about where you are. But there's a lot of me deploying, not battling, and then moving, which, I'm not sure that's the wisest. But yeah. From this point, the game is basically done. He's at 18, 25 to my 11, so I concede. Is that an early concede? Probably not, to be honest. Probably not. One more AOBS game to go through, which was the last game I played for the month, which was against another Hitco. No, Anakin Family, this one. So Anakin Family is a deck I know from playing it during the OCS, so I have an idea of what it wants to do. I'm a little bit scared of its space because space is pullable and strong. I'm a little bit worried about Luke's X-Wing gun, particularly for the first light. But I am hopeful for a get them to fight over the JCC, go wide. The thing about light side mains, the way that I see it is that they have a limited character pool. So if you can get them to go wide, then you can get them to use all their characters, strand their characters. But what I'm probably mainly doing here is similar to the Hitco plan, consolidating, hold the system, consolidate a site, harass. Is the game plan that I sort of go with here. And we'll see how we go. But the difference between, the thing here is I'm going to be able to ping. So another goldenrod game. Palpy comes down for free. Not using Palpy to ping for 2. Now, again, with that one, maybe the wiser thing to do would have been to wait to see if the JCC comes out and then go Palpatine to the square and then move across and threaten a drain of 3 and make him fight over the drain 3 site. You'll see that come out. But down comes Kenobi, down comes Rey. And there comes the JCC. Okay, because it would have been much better to have a fully immune Palpatine there than what I end up going with. But, you know, we're fairly even at this point. So top level. So I consolidate because I'm worried about getting smacked in the face. But again, I'm quite conservative drawing up. He's draining for 2. I think the way that I saw it is he's draining for 2. I'm doing 1. That's okay for now. Now he's doing 3. I also wanted to build up enough space to be able to feel comfortable going to space. So trying to think about patterns of things that I'm doing wrong, things that I can do better in March. I don't know if going to space, it feels like going to space faster is something that I need to do, even if it's at the risk of getting punched in the face in space and then having to claw my way back. So there's the U3P I'm usually looking for. There's the Probot as well. So I'm set here with where I want to go. I noticed that his gun is in his reserve deck, which makes me feel better. I'm probably looking for a Furry Fury at this point. Here comes Luke. So this is what I'm worried about, right? I'm worried about the space side of things. Now that I feel comfortable on the ground. So draining, pinging. Didn't get the sewer out noticeably. No sewer. But I'm sort of going, okay, I'm not going to reinforce in space. Probably should have reinforced in space. Probably at least should have shuttled Vigo up to reinforce in space. I don't know why I thought, oh, there's because I knew I was drawing into the Furry Fury. He's going to try and kill 3PO. I'm going to successfully stop that, but I'm going to lose 2 doing it. That's okay, because 2 is less than 3. He's going to get the sorry back. So I realize I need to look for sense again. Again, I'm just commentating at this point. This is where I wonder in retrospect if I would have been better off sending the Probot over to Tatooine, because he needs to think, if I send the Probot over to Tatooine, any characters he sends there, he's going to strand. Whereas by leaving a character here, he can then shift across and drain for free and drain for 2. So that's something I probably wish I would have had back again. I let him fight in space. That's not the first time we'll see that 7 drawn for Destiny. I draw a 4. I'll play the Furry Fury and hope to draw high, and the Furry Fury there was probably, again, and it's too micro for where I am, I think. But that was probably a silly Furry Fury because I don't think it actually, I think it just kept Zam alive, which, I mean, great, I guess. I mean, I need to win. I need to stay alive in space. And at least I've kept the fist alive this time, so I can put people on. So back comes Balatik. The bounty. Hopefully I'm getting something good. I get the P59 because I know that I've got to deal with Leia, and I can shoot her with the 6 that I know that's on top. So some of that stuff is better than I used to be in terms of tracking. It's not high-level tracking, don't get me wrong. I know I'm not very good, but it's better than I have been. There's the 7 again. Okay, so I exchange 1 for 3 of his, which is an okay trade. There's the sewer, which I don't know why I hadn't deployed earlier, unless it was buried in my force pile. So again, that's something for me to work on, to start getting those zeros out. Sense again. So I'm doing a good job of staying, in terms of damage, I was doing an okay job here of staying in the game. What's he up? He's up 20 to 15 at this point. But his ping retrieval, I think this one dies because of a revert. But his ping retrieval gets him over the line. So he's going to start retrieving and pulling ahead. But it's just staying alive in space. Just had to stay alive in space. So let's see. Let's just fast forward how this plays out. So I'm going to draw high. I know I'm going to knock out his Hunchui Falcon, so I can come back with a Zim the next turn. But I'm starting to get low on force. I'm down to 13, 10 in hand. Still able to ping though. Yeah. Was it there? Yeah. So basically he ends up knocking me out of space, and that's the game. So once again, the ability to stay alive in space is super important. That's one for me to work on in terms of playing AOBs next month. The twin of staying alive in space and going faster in space. This is a quick one. This is against Greg's 0 hour, and I don't have a good plan against 0 hour at the moment. I need a better plan against 0 hour. But basically, just for a really quick one, I do CCT things, and these are not the order in which I played the games either. I'm jumping around a little bit in terms of the order I played the games over the course of the month. This was somewhere in the middle of the month. The last game, the AOBS Anakin family game, was the last game I played for the whole month on either side. So I do. Oh, I think I missed my AC pool this game. So again, from a tempo perspective, that's not great. Against 0 hour, it's not good. So off they go, doing 0 hour things. We're going to go wide. And now I'm worried about, or I should be more worried about, the AC. But what I try to do is match his damage a bit. So what I'm trying to do is get set up to drain for free. So I'm going to go to space. I'm going to drop scum. I'm going to go to space because he's got his ghost over there. But he's doing 7 to my net 5. So it's not, again, it's not terminal, but I need to do something from here. And he rushes the chamber. And the same thing happens again. So same thing for CCT, 2 games. I draw the 0, which is unfortunate. For hidden weapons again, so if you're keeping track, my 2 hidden weapons draws this month were 1 and a 0. He draws well. I draw okay. And I lose everything. And when you're playing CCT, that's very, very difficult from there. So yeah, there's pretty much not much else to see with this game that you're not already seeing. So we can probably end that one and go over onto we'll take a quick spin through the games on the light side. So for light side, I played Anakin Family. We'll watch the one game of QMC that I played, because then we'll get some consistency in what we're watching. So this is my QMC. I played Greg again. He played Thrawn, and I played QMC, which I'm quite new with QMC. I know probably those of you who were looking at my spreadsheet, I have played QMC a bit. I'm just bad with it, and I've got a lot to learn with it. But what I was worried about here was how am I going to hold Bespin? And I think the answer is you probably don't. Against the alert space that Thrawn has, you probably don't hold Bespin against it. But you do. They give you lots of systems to run to. So I don't do anything turn one. I pull a couple of sites and I'm still trying to work out. I think I'm still trying to work out in my head what I'm doing while he drains for 2, with basically 3. He pulls another system. Down comes Palpatine. So what I'm wanting to do, I don't have any evasion in hand. I'm going to have to go to Bespin to flip at some point. So for some reason, I got a Kashyyyk. I'm worried about his space, so I'm dropping a bit, a lot. So now he's doing what, 3, 4 to my 2, but I'm paying for it. So again, but the tempo, I suppose, those people who are teaching me, you're going to be behind in QMC early on. So one of the things that I'm trying to get better at, what I'm not very good at, is withstanding that early pressure and not making panic decisions. I make some amazingly panic decisions, but I'm trying to get better at it and trying to not be quite so worried. So I think this is the turn where I go to flip, get all my sights out. Down comes Maz. Maz is going to get aliens. Down comes Leia for cheap. There's the flip. I pull a path because I don't have any evasion. Lee-Sub comes down to try and start doing some damage. And I move Hark across. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get enough aliens out to switch on Watering Hole to be able to at least generate enough momentum damage-wise to overcome what he's done. Because what I found playing Thrawn, I played Thrawn earlier year, and I found that playing it badly, as I do, it puts a lot of cards on the table. So he comes down with a bunch of stuff. I'm going to path away to the same places. Leia, because he's still got 12 force. He plays I've lost R2. We'll see. When I was saying, hopefully this doesn't completely stuff up, but I was saying I had in fact, I had a hand size of 5, and it's now down to 2. So it's really going to limit what I'm able to do, obviously. So I fight in space, and I do okay, I think. He draws a 5. And enables me to stay alive for a bit. Apologies for the break in the recording. I don't know what that's going to do. I'm not recording this a 3rd time. But yeah, just spin through this relatively quickly. He ultimately, I'm down to 21 to his 30 something. And he's just able to come down with more stuff, and I'm not able to. I've got, again, because I have a small hand size, I'm not able to respond with stuff. So he's able to overwhelm. In fact, this might just about do it. Not quite. He's at 32 to my 18. So again, in terms of objectives, I'm not rage quitting. I'm hanging in there. I'm trying to go wide. I'm trying to, can I do something about this? Which is good. It's probably not a lot else to see about that game, to be honest. Which is good. It's one of the things I want to do, right? Is get better with those kinds of things. Since we're talking about Thrawn, the one game I played of Thrawn with Anakin Family, which, if I remember right from the data, was not one that was particularly tilted in Anakin Family's favor. So again, what I think I'm hoping to do here is stay alive in space and get set up on the ground and stay alive. Now, this is a game where I do rage quit. This is towards the end of the month. I think I was a bit jack of it at this point, a little bit, because as much as you want to tell yourself not to worry about results, you are going to worry about results. It's going to happen. It's a normal thing to do. But again, something I'm trying to get better at. So I don't just get Polis out, get some activation, draw some cards. So I can go to space. He does Thrawn things. I get lucky that he goes slow early on. He doesn't get out turn 1. I get pretty much all my activation. Not quite all my activation. I don't have 3PO. I go to space. Where I lose the game here is a way that I've often lost games of Anakin family, which is that I go to ground and I don't go to ground with enough stuff. But I don't think it's yet. So I draw up to the magical 14. I'm letting him do some damage. I know that it's not terminal yet. Now he comes down to the 2-2, and I think perhaps unwisely that I need to do something about that. So I drop a bunch of stuff in front of him. I go, I'm going to stop you from draining here. Now, what I wish I had have done maybe is just left them there. He does a nice sneak attack, trample, kills my Annie. Then he tramples Lando as well, but misses. Commands to restrict me to 1. Yeah, I remember how this one plays out. It's not good. So I lose Lando because I have no force remaining, which was silly. And I don't have, I have Rey. Now this is why it's a rage quit, right? I've got 36 cards. I've got 29 in reserve, 7 in hand. He's got 37. So he's up by 1. Is it bad? Yeah, sure. I can't escape pod. Am I in a tricky situation? Absolutely. Even if let's say Rey gets overflowed, and Rey's going to get overflowed, he's doing 5 and I'm doing 4. So it's one of those ones where is it a bad situation? Of course it's a bad situation. But should I have necessarily have quit at that point? No, absolutely not. So again, that's something to get better at. 3 quick replays to spin through because they're all the same game. I played Anakin against Huntdown 3 times this month, and broadly speaking, used the same strategy 3 times, and it didn't work. So I've got to use a different strategy next time than the one that I do. This one, so again, there's not a lot to learn from this one, I don't think, because there's not a ton of analysis when you try to fight Huntdown head on. I don't rage quit any of them necessarily, I don't think. But I do find myself in a tricky spot. One of the cards that I'm looking for in this matchup is the X-Wing cannon to be able to shoot, particularly Palpy Shuttle. So I'm grateful to see that in my opening hand. But I don't necessarily think I do opening turn stuff too badly. And I don't rage quit, which I know is a low bar. But this is what I'm trying to get better at. And I think in terms of March OCS, what I'm looking to do with the decks that I've got is continue to develop better strategies, not necessarily just for individual matchups, right? So what I'm not thinking in terms of I need to develop a better strategy for Huntdown. I need to develop a better strategy for playing both QMC and Anakin's family and any other decks for Darkside mains. And I know that there's nuance obviously between Huntdown V, Bring Them Before Me, Rots. They all do different things. But they're fundamentally different decks to ISB or fundamentally different decks to Thrawn. So I would like to get better at these things. So yeah, nothing really. I think at this point, I'm still trying to sort of work out what I'm going to do. I've got the nightclub. I don't want to draw. He's got 14 14 cards in hand, and he'll have 23 force active next turn. I'm really worried about getting my head caved in. But this is that forced action, right? So because I don't want to continue to lose to the ping. I'm getting too far behind. It forces me to do something that I don't want to do. And then he's able to drop a bunch of stuff and shoot some people. And let's see if I can actually successfully draw here. Nope. And this is how it goes, right? Like, and he draws a 7 for battle listening. So I lose those two. I'm not out of it, but I'm behind. I don't know at that point why I dropped the I just didn't battle into what was in front of me. I don't know why battling into Vader is better there than battling into Appalek and Kylo. So there's sometimes where I do things, and in retrospect, there must have been an idea behind it at the time. Genuinely, there must have been a thought process. But watching it back, I look at it and that makes no sense to me at all. I don't know why I did that. So hopefully those of you who are as bad as I am recognize that pattern of behavior. But and then it's just the same. It's it's the same old stuff, right? Like so maybe this is a rage. This is a bit of, actually, this is a rage quit. And I wouldn't say it's a rage quit. It's more of a sad quit because, or it's I don't understand what you were doing there quit. So he's battled into me and he's at 27 and okay, yeah, I'm at 13 and I'm going to lose from pings to visage, but he's paying to drain for 1 and I'm draining for 3. Why? Why quit there? Why quit there? That doesn't make any sense to quit there. So that was silly. That was not great in terms of where I want to go for the month and what I want to be better at for the month. That was disappointing. This one against my good friend Jerwin. There's not a ton to learn from this one. The game plan that I'm using again though is going to space. This one's a slightly more traditional hunt down build compared to Sed's because this one uses the Cloud City 2/2. The Desmond. I've got some good activation early on, which is nice. And 3PO, so trying to get some stuff. Got Luke in his ship in hand, which is nice. Don't pull Polis. Don't know why I don't pull Polis. Now this is where, for me to learn, I get worried about what to do about Vader. In this particular instance, I decide I want to fight Vader. This is not what I think my version of Anakin's family is built to do. Unfortunate pulling the Rey again. So yeah, that was unfortunate. But I think I was doing it because I knew I had the, I had the Hoojix, I had the Lana to protect. So I know I'm not going to get overflowed. And it was just a bit of a YOLO, wasn't it? It was a bit of a bit silly. So he's gonna, and this is the momentum of Hunt Down, isn't it? So yeah, he does Hunt Down things. There's just not a lot in terms of learn. So I'm a bit torn. So is there much to learn from doing these kinds of things? Absolutely, because good players win these matchups regularly. Is there more variance involved and they lose them often? Yes, but they win more than they lose. So you've got to ask yourself why? Why do good players? Why? If I played this game against Jerwin 10 times, Jerwin's going to win 7 or 8 out of 10. And I'm not. This is not either to say that Jerwin is a top tier player, which I think he would happily admit that he is not. Equally, it's not to say that he's bad. It's not a judgment on Jerwin at all, but it's in terms of the gulf between him and I. If I were to play this game against Joe or any of the best players out in the world, they're going to beat me in this matchup 9 times out of 10. And the question you've got to ask yourself is why? What are they doing? What do they do consistently that bad players don't? And that's what I'm trying to not necessarily unpick, because I think some of it I know. It's just the question then becoming, well, why don't I do these things? And sometimes I don't have a good answer for them. So we're going to do space things. I think Jerwin forgot there that his battle destinies in space were capped or something similar like that. I know he'd said afterwards. So I'm going to be able to shoot. But again, I've made no reach for the nightclub. I'm going to shoot him out of space. So I feel like I should be in an okay position here. I know I do forget here that I can't fight. I can't initiate a battle with a Skywalker present. Which again is something in terms of me being better. I've got to learn to read the cards. You talk about something the good players do. But at this point, I think I get rid of him because I don't want him having 2 swings. He's gonna miss. I'm gonna miss. So I'm not doing, I mean, I don't think I'm necessarily doing these things all too badly. But you know, once you get to this point of Anakin and Huntdown, it's just variance, isn't it? It's just who draws higher, who hits with the swings, who misses, who leaves characters alive. But at this point, Jerwin's at what, 30 something, and I'm at 16. You know, unless you get a big beatdown in, I think. What do I forget here? Yeah, you know, what are you going to do? Not much more to with that one, I don't think. So we'll get into the last couple of games. I do it again. Sort of a bit bored of this matchup at this point, but you know, I lose it all 3 times, so I've got to get better at it. Playing Gibson again with Huntdown. See how fast we can get through this replay, and then one last one for the month, and then a quick summary of where I'm at in terms of getting better. I hope to share some more replays, do some more playing through games and talking through my thought processes. If you're watching these for some reason with a view to I want to get better at the game, for me, it's about thinking about why do we get better at things? Why do we improve at things? Some of it's repetition, some of it's experience. But in a game like Star Wars, with the amount of variance in decks and experiences and things like that, it's not necessarily realistic to think that you're going to get better simply by playing reps and experiencing everything that you can experience and getting that seat time. That's going to be part of it. That's absolutely part of it. It's a practical skill. It's a practical game. So you're going to want to do that. But in terms of trying to improve faster, it's about understanding the fundamentals of things that I'm not very good at. Do I actually understand how my deck wins a game? Do I understand the fundamentals of how different decks, how do they win games? How do they, you know, can you win a game of Anakin family without staying alive in space? Probably not. It's definitely some shenanigans going on here. I can't remember why I didn't. Oh, yes, this game. All right. This one was, I guess it's mildly interesting. This one goes a bit closer than you'd think. I'm aiming to stay alive in space here because what my thought process here is he's got Palpatine and Tarkin and Kylo and Darth Maul all in space. So what I think at this point is he's going to drain for 1. He's got a lot of those resources dedicated to draining for 1. I'm happy, funnily enough, after just saying you can't win, Anakin Saga can't win by staying alive in space. I'm kind of happy to give up space here if, and it's a bit silly that I can't remember what I did, whether that was necessarily the smartest thing there. But basically what I'm thinking is I'm going to leave all of those characters up in space draining for 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and I'm going to switch off your visage. If I can kick you off the ground now, then I win the game. Is basically what I was thinking in the moment. Was this would be great. If I can knock him over on the ground, then I can win the game. Now that hurt. Absolutely whacked with some force lightnings during this month of OCS. So let's see what I can come back with. And again, this is me going the nightclub route, but not waiting until he deployed his Twix to do the nightclub. So bye-bye goes Vader. Not that that really matters at this point. So I avoid having to use the Hujix. We both get cleared out. So again, yes, he's draining. So he's on what, 22-ish. I'm on 16, 24-ish. I'm thinking, again, I'm still thinking if I can knock him off. They're not being able to retrieve. The difference between me and the Pistone game, I think. So yeah, I'm sorry about the mess there to try and wrestle control of the site. Sort of think if I can take over the site, then I can do it. But I'm playing the game on his terms. Yeah, I'm doing what Hunt Down wants to do, which is, hey, let's fight over a site. And maybe I have to do that, but it doesn't lead me to a good place. So basically, I end up running out of characters. We trade characters, we trade characters, we trade characters. I run out of characters, and he wins the game. Which then leaves us to our last game of the month, which there's not a lot to report on. It was my Anakin, last replay of the month anyway. It was my Anakin against Dark Side Combat. This is my only win for the month. It doesn't come in the best circumstances. I'm usually, when it comes to reverts, I like to think I'm pretty liberal. I will happily grant reverts wherever possible. Unless, obviously, if you gain an advantage by doing it, but also if it's just a bit of if it's a bit of a silly read the card kind of mistake, and I'm feeling quite competitive, then I may not. And unfortunately, on this particular occasion, what happened was I didn't grant the revert, and maybe I should have. So I go to space early. I wasn't really 100% sure what my plan was because I very rarely played Dark Side Combat. I've never played with it. Very rarely played against it. But basically, what I think I was going to do was, I was like, I'm not going to put out my nightclub. I'm just going to try and take over one of your sites. And if I can stay alive in space, then I'll probably win the game. So down comes Anakin Saber, Padme, Kenobi, gun. So I'm just going to come down with as much as I feel comfortable coming down with, right? He's going to move across. He's going to go Affleck. He's going to move across. More strikes, which he wins. So Kenobi goes away. So I wonder if dropping Kenobi was the best idea there. Whether or not I could have gone without Kenobi and made it a straight fight. But what are you going to do? So on my turn, I drop Rey. I clash Darth Maul. I really go in for it. I'm just like, I'm trying to cave your head in, metaphorically. So there's just a bunch of flashing going on there. I'm going to hit Affleck, but he's going to kick out of this. So we draw Destiny. Again, this, what to learn from this, because it's an early game. He kicks out. Okay. So we're here. And I leave my stack in front of Maul because I know he can't do anything because I clashed him. He drops Newt and Choke Vader, and this is where things go bad because I don't think he realized that the clash would last. So he asks for the revert, and I say no. Because if I give him the revert, it was just a bit silly. I should have given him the revert because, what are you going to do? But at the same time, that's what the card says. So a bit unfortunate. I didn't feel great about it. I messaged his dad about it and sort of just said, look, I'm really sorry for what it was worth. So in terms of just things to learn over the month, did I get the first few turns right? Some of the time, most of the time. Did I rage quit? A couple of times, yeah. Not as much over 12 games as I probably usually would have, but slightly better. Did I make game-ending mistakes? Every single one of them, except for maybe the one that I won. There's a couple of games that I think I played okay in there. I think the Anakin family against Pistone was not bad, or the AOBS game was not bad. A couple of the hunt down games I could have won if I made slightly different decisions in other places. Learned a lot, obviously, about the two CCT games were a bit of a disaster, but I'm not entirely sure. At least the 0-hour matchup was a bit rough. So next month, it's just about getting better. It's just about, okay, I've got the platform of that month where I played badly. Let's try and be better next month, irrespective of results. So if I go 1-11 again, I go 1-11 again. But it's more about, can I, when I run through these replays next month, are we still looking at rage quitting? Are we still looking at getting the first turns right? Or are we looking at, if I play hunt down again, am I taking a different line, a different strategy and approach, the one that I was taking, or have I learned something from the experience? So fingers crossed, here we go for March OCS month that we do a bit better. Thanks for watching if you managed to last this long. Hope you got something out of it. If for nothing else, watching me make horrendous mistakes again and again during Gemp replays at 2x speed. But any advice, drop me a Slack, drop me a forums message. Always happy to get any advice on particular matchups and things like that. Thanks for watching.